a martini, shaken not stirred.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Houston, we have a problem.
Do or do not. There is no try.
Nobody can stay in your corner. You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies close.
I'm your #1 fan.
And here we go.
Good evening, moviegoers everywhere, and we are officially on the road to Avengers Endgame here at the Cine-Men movie podcast. Johnny here today with Ed. Ed, how are you doing today?
I'm not too bad at all. How are you?
Man, I am excited. We are less than a little under 5 weeks away from Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it's very exciting to be approaching that date, for that matter. Got a little bit of exciting.
Which means we're about 6 weeks away from Endgame, and what we're covering today is the Avengers in this first of 3 roundtable discussions for the Cine-Men movie podcast today.
Right. Yeah, because we're trying to do like a lead up, basically,
right,
to the actual Endgame.
It all starts on this first episode of February, talking about the Avengers from 2012.
Yes, sir.
The first episode of March, we will be talking about Avengers Age of Ultron. And then the first week of April, we will be discussing Infinity War. And this all leads to a live on-site episode to Captain Marvel.
Yep.
And then it leads into an all on-site episode to Endgame.
Yep.
So we haven't chosen what theater we're going to be doing this at yet, but we will be there opening night for Captain Marvel.
Yep.
And opening night for Infinity War.
Endgame.
Yeah.
I mean, Infinity War Part 2. It's
Same
practically,
shit.
just the continuation.
Man, but what about a look back at Batman last week?
I thought it was good. I liked it. Unfortunately, with YouTube, we couldn't air it.
Yeah.
With some of the technical reasons.
That's true.
But
if you usually listen to us on YouTube, unfortunately, last week's episode was not available on YouTube.
Due to unforeseen circumstances.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
A bunch of fucking retards down
Peter
there at
Griffin.
YouTube.
Is it grinding your gears?
I'm hot. I'm not gonna lie. I'm hot this episode, for more than a couple reasons. That being one, I thought that was one of our better episodes that we've ever had.
Right.
Generally, all of our listeners come from Spotify and Podbean.
Most of them, there's always that.
But there's 3 or 4 out there that listen to us on YouTube, and then we have usually 15 downloads on YouTube. But yeah, I was excited. Batman was a good episode for those of you that want to listen to all of our past episodes in the archives. Edward, where can they get those?
Oh man, Spotify, Podbean. We are on iTunes as well.
iTunes, Google Cast.
Yes. If you want to go ahead, and if you don't know exactly where to go, simple as this, go to Facebook /Movie Reels. That is REELZ 405. Click that Learn More button, and it will take you directly to our YouTube channel. If you want to go ahead and see all the stuff we've done from day one, all on our Facebook page, just go to pretty much the channel page and look at everything you want. Simple.
Yeah, I mean, we post photos of what we watched. We have 230
yeah.
about 230 followers, and people out there, listeners, just on the Facebook page, Podbean says we have one, at least Virginia, West Virginia,
Which is
New York,
crazy, man. I mean,
Korea.
I've been through West Virginia.
We're big in
but,
Korea,
hey,
man.
Freaking Kim Jong-un listening, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know, for some reason a lot of people really dig a lot of these American-made, smaller podcasts. I don't know. Maybe
It's
they're
cool
just
with me.
people trying to download and get, maybe they're just terrorists over there trying to download and fuck us over at the end of the game.
I mean,
Maybe they think
okay.
I am
Rich and I trying.
I am looking for it now. But no, this is going to be kind of like a roundtable discussion. We have a caller that's going to call in and talk to us about Avengers 2012. Talk to us about Endgame and maybe some fantasy booking ideas out there.
Definitely, because not
Zach, who called in on the Fences episode,
Yeah.
is going to call in and talk to us on this episode as well. So,
because I mean, you can't do a lot of truth and all that, because it's just going to be rumor, speculation, fantasy booking, and all that. Because something like with Disney and with everybody involved with the Avengers movies or the MCU for that matter alone are very, very, very protective of
Right.
everything. And I mean, don't get me wrong, they've gone like Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man, has pretty much been kicked out of the inner loop until basically he has to learn his stuff, because he is famous now for literally accidentally opening a can of worms to different rumors and different title sequences and all that.
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious,
I
because
think
he's
they
a kid still.
I think they jerk us around a lot. I think
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I think it's all a work.
I mean, I think with Tom Holland, I do kind of, because kid seems like he's funny, seems like he's smart, energetic and passionate and charismatic about it all. So I don't think he's an idiotic person like that.
No, I mean, me
accidentally.
neither. This is definitely going to be one of the longer episodes, so we are cutting pretty much movie news is not going to be in this week as far as one of the segments goes.
Right.
But we are going to go ahead and jump into one of the other segments, which we like to call recent watches.
Yeah.
But until then, man, I think it's time for some water.
Uh-oh.
Getting some water in there. You gotta stay hydrated, man.
That was a little awkward. I
We-
can't lie.
We talk a lot.
Talk a lot of bullshit. But,
A lot of bullshit.
Hey.
Better get your boots on.
Whoa.
No, I know you've been busy for the
Yeah.
past few weeks since the last episode.
Yeah.
You've been busier than a fucking mule.
Haven't had an off day since the 17th, and I won't until Thursday. So grinding.
Every mule has his day, as they say.
I mean, I'm being packed pretty hard. So
I bet you are being packed pretty hard. You enjoy it too, I'm sure. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
hey,
It's 2019, I think.
I don't know.
Recent watches. Have you watched anything good lately?
Yeah, actually, yesterday I went and seen Dragon Ball Super, the Broly movie. So that was pretty good. Actually, for all you Dragon Ball Z fans out there, Dragon Ball Super fans, if you haven't seen the new Broly movie, go and see it. Tons of good stuff.
Where'd you go see it at?
I actually seen it at Tinseltown, for that matter.
Tinseltown.
Yeah, hadn't been there in a while. So
For all you listeners out there, we reside and unfortunately live in the terrific state of Oklahoma. Tinseltown, to kind of describe what kind of theater that is.
I mean, Tinseltown.
You don't want to go there after night, obviously.
I mean, I did. So
Well, you're braver
fuck
than
it,
I am.
Whatever.
That's why you gotta fucking. You probably got stabbed, don't even know it yet.
Hey, Tinseltown is one of the more riskier theaters around here, I will say. But truthfully, like that, and then even the AMC over by Crossroads Mall, I don't mind going to either way. But trying Dragon Ball Super, without really giving much away, another look into the lives after the tournament, of which, if you've watched the series, all of you know. Pretty much like it is. It's a Broly movie, so Broly is back for like the 7th time. Truthfully, I was tired of it. I was just like, I'm gonna go see this as a Dragon Ball movie. Maybe it'll, surprise me. Hopefully it will. See some cool stuff. Go from there. It did. It really surprised me. I'm not gonna give much away. Broly's in it. His father's in it. That's really all I'm giving away. Truthfully, go see it if you are a fan of Dragon Ball. I promise you will not. The only thing that
kind of sell us on the movie, like if there's a Dragon Ball listener out there, what would you rate this for them to maybe go see it?
Probably an 8.5. The only reason I actually put it under a 9 is because it's not long enough. That's all. Because I would have loved to see 35, 45 more minutes.
About an hour and a half.
About an hour and a half, maybe hour 40 tops. So yeah, that's the only thing I'd say was bad about it. Not long enough. That's it. Tons of laughs, a shit ton of fighting. Like the last 30 minutes is practically nothing but non-stop fighting. It's awesome. But I mean, if y'all know Broly basically just gets his ass kicked, kicks your ass, and learns while doing it all. So yeah, new characters, old characters coming in, so a little bit of a revision on some characters. So like I'm not wanting to sell too hard, because the only thing, like I said, that is bad is that it is too short of a movie. That's it. Literally, that's it. I've been a Dragon Ball fan since I was probably 5. So over 22 years, 23 years. So I mean, yeah, if y'all have ever watched it, get out there, go see it, go enjoy yourselves. Still in theaters, to my knowledge at least. I seen it just last night, so should still be in theaters for at least a week or so. I mean, hell, a few of the upper class theaters around here actually got wise and fine, because I know that there was one theater out in kind of a popular downtown section that was the first one to actually bring it on to Oklahoma City, for that matter. With the Dragon Ball movies or anime movies.
You can say them, Harkins.
Oh,
we can plug them.
Harkins was the only one to truly take a step out of the box, and I mean, don't get me wrong, like they raped the money in. Like, they didn't rake it in, they raped it in. Like, they bucket loads, because I was there on the Resurrection F premiere. They literally, like, if you had a ticket for Theater 9, you were going to Theater 6, basically, because, like, there was no way in hell, because there were lines on lines on lines outside of every theater, and they were just trying to file everybody into somewhere. So, now that they did that a few years ago,
everybody else if everybody else is saying that they're digging in some cash, whether they think it's going to bring in, positive business or not, they're going to do it because they want some of that cash.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's not too bad.
I mean, what's the old phrase?
Yeah.
There is no such thing as bad publicity, right?
And that's true.
I mean, hey.
I watched some newer movies. I am on the road. I'm getting ready for the Avengers Endgame, so I am already started on Phase 2. I started Iron Man 3, which I forgot was really fucking good.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot how good Iron Man 3 is. And then some newer watches. I finally checked out The Old Man and the Gun.
Yeah.
Robert Redford, really good movie, starring Robert Redford, Danny Glover, Casey Affleck. If you guys are into any of those kind of movies, I'd definitely go check it out. Finally checked out The First Man.
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling, the director of La La Land as well. It was good, but it was pretty slow.
Okay, I mean, maybe that's the way it was intended. Maybe there's going to be a First Man 2 or something.
I doubt that. They landed on the fucking moon.
Oh, They might land on fucking Pluto next. Fuck it. Let's send Neil Armstrong's old ass to Pluto. Screw it.
Is that the one that only had one nut that bicycled?
No, that's Lance Armstrong, bro.
Anyway,
I don't know if they're related in any ways, but
more power to
Neil
you.
Lance, hey.
Then I checked it out, a horror movie that really caught my eye. I bought it, not knowing anything about it. It's called Hellfest. About a group of teenagers who go into this pretty much fright fest area, if you will, and this guy who puts on a mask and just butchers people one night a year.
That kind of sounds familiar.
When this when this event park is going on.
Right.
And it wasn't too bad. I thought it was going to be kind of stupid. Nobody big was really in it. But it was good.
Sounds kind of like they took a few different movies and combined them.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. It was definitely one of those.
Maybe it was an old man pissed off about the sound. He was trying to go to bed. So
Probably.
every time he just murdered bitches.
Probably. I don't think it showed. I don't think it really showed who it was. But yeah, those are some of my recent watches. Getting ready for Avengers. I did rewatch all of Phase 1. So if anybody out there listening, Phase 1 be Hulk, Iron Man 1, 2, Thor, Captain America, and then we're gonna finish it off here with the Avengers.
I want to see a Scarlet Widow or a Black Widow movie. I know it's supposed to be coming soon, but I'm ready.
I don't think Scarlett Johansson's gonna be in it though.
Well, I mean, I'd just love to see Natasha Romanoff's beginnings or past of some sort. Although, it would suck without Scarlett Johansson, because literally, just defines the word sexy as well as, turns it and uses badass, smart, innovative, and just creative as hell. So, she's kind of a huge, all-in-one package. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, that gets us into our top 5 today, which a lot of people didn't kind of know what we were doing. I didn't really know what we were doing.
I never know what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm surprised this thing even fucking gets picked up by anybody. If you guys don't realize what goes on, we just lock ourselves in a room and talk about what the fuck ever comes up.
Pretty much.
I would, indeed. But the one fun thing about it is, well, it's not fun, but Stan Lee passed away in November, right before, literally hours before we did the Fantastic Beast episode.
Yeah.
And we were like, fuck it, let's do our top 5 Marvel movies.
Kind of an ode to him.
Right, so we did our top 5 Marvel movies on that episode. If you want to check that out in our archives,
yeah,
Spotify, Podbean. To this episode right now, I'm going to be putting it on the Stitcher. I don't know if you know what that is.
I do not. What is that?
It's a whole brand new platform for all kind of podcasts. You can download. It's all free. Nothing's free. Nothing. I mean, we're not going to charge you a goddamn thing. But
we just want you to fucking listen to these beautiful voices and this poetic language we use.
But the Avengers 2012 episode is going to debut on the Stitcher Monday morning. So don't forget that. Everything else is on Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, iTunes,
Chromecast,
Google Cast,
my bad.
wherever you get your pods. Listen, we're out there. So right now we're going to get ready to go into our top 5 segment. But before then, we are 5 weeks away from Captain Marvel.
It's kind of, I mean, it's got me shaking a little bit because I'm not 100% sure. I don't know much about Brie Larson. I mean, I've seen her in a few things, but it's not been huge roles.
See, but before we dig into it, I mean, we're going to go ahead and try to get Zach on the phone, because there's a number here that I want to touch up on, talk to both of you guys about. So we're going to do that.
867-5309.
The fuck did you just say to me?
Oh, well, you don't get that, I guess. Anyways, definitely, looking forward.
Until then, though, we're getting ready to get Zach on the line. But right now, this episode is brought to you by Rockstar Energy Drink. Rockstar Energy Drink is designed for those who lead active lifestyles, available in over 20 amazing flavors in over 30 different countries. I didn't know there was 30 countries.
Oh, wow. I mean, there's 50 States, so obviously there's got to be more than 30 countries out there.
But Rockstar is introducing a new flavor, a new kind of Rockstar.
Oh shit.
It is X-Durance Super Sours Green Apple.
Ooh, that sounds right up my alley right
Now,
there.
why does that sound familiar?
Kind of a Jolly Rancher.
Right.
Is all I can think of.
They have this new flavor, Rockstar X-Durance Super Sours Green Apple. Look for it in your local 7-Elevens, On-Q's, Walmarts, Crest, wherever you get your damn energy drinks at. Look for it. It's got BCAA, and it's got your vitamin B's, and it's available now nationwide, and it's got 300 milligrams of caffeine.
Ooh, so if you need a pick-me-up, boom.
If you need a pick-me-up, that's going to be your pick-me-up.
Use wisely.
So don't forget Rockstar, the official energy drink of the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
Just had one earlier.
And right after break, we will be back with Zach, hopefully, and we will talk all about the Avengers. Here we are back now with Zach, and we are getting ready to touch bases on this episode of the Avengers from 2012. Pretty much going to be doing a lot of fantasy booking, thinking about where Endgame might be going. But anyway, Zach, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for letting me come back on the show.
Definitely. Thank you for coming back, honestly. Been up
just,
to much lately?
Yeah, I've been kind of trying to do a lot of the AFI Top 100 films, like the recently watched Yankee Doodle Dandy and Swing Time. I'm almost done with the Last Picture Show. So, things like that.
Oh, gotcha. All right.
So, we just finished a segment, Zach, called Recent Watches. Have you watched anything interesting lately?
I did watch, I don't know if you guys seen this movie on Netflix called, is it Polar? I think it's called, with Matt Nicholson. It's, the only way I could describe it, it's almost like a steroid, like, hyper up version of, like, John Wick, kind of.
Is it kind of like Upgrade? Have you seen Upgrade?
Yeah, it's a lot like a
Okay.
techno sci-fi
Okay.
thriller type thing.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen it yet on Netflix, but it's definitely I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, if you're a fan of Upgrade or the John Wick movies, I think you might. There's a lot more stuff in this film than the John Wick movies, but it's like it'd be right up your alley if you're into those type of movies.
Okay. Yeah, I was just telling Edward I just got done recently seeing First Man with Ryan Gosling. Have you seen that?
Mm-hmm. Did you like it?
I thought it was good. It's definitely worth watching. To me, it was just a little slow. But I'm pretty sure, like Edward said, that's how they probably want it to be. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was. It's definitely different from Damien Chazelle's other films like Whiplash and La La Land. What did you think about the last sequence of film where they're on the moon, which is it's shot incredibly, it's beautifully well made, done. What do you think about like them not showing them actually putting the flag on the moon?
I know there's like some kind of controversy behind that, or there's some kind of like reason why that didn't happen. To me, the film didn't really go through a lot why, or of them being on the moon as far as like how long they were. it kind of seems like they filmed a little bit of it and just went ahead and got off.
Truthfully, I think they actually filmed the moon landing back in the day in a little like shop. I don't think it was real. I just think they did a recreation of the film. That's all. No, I'm just playing. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Just fun.
What do you think about? I know we haven't talked to you in a little bit, but we've kind of texted here and there. But what do you think about the Oscar nominations?
It's very interesting. I think this is really a year that it could really go in any type of direction, because I thought, I really thought Bradley Cooper would get a nomination for Best Director. That didn't happen. I thought that Mr. Rogers' documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor, would get nominated. That didn't happen, which kind of upset me. The two big nominations, Roma and The Favorite, I haven't seen either of those. I'm planning on seeing Roma before the Oscars at least. It's just interesting, man. I really don't know how this Oscar's going to go. What do you guys think about it?
I think that this could be the very first year, and I know it's a long shot, but it could happen that a superhero movie could win Best Picture and Best Animated Picture.
With Black Panther, Best Picture, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, animated. Mm-hmm.
I think it's hands down that Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse will win Best Animated Picture. If it doesn't, it just goes to another Disney film. Why the hell are we having these Oscar shows anyway?
Because did you guys see the Into the Spider-Verse?
We haven't. I've pretty much heard and read and seen all the spoilers and read every kind of review I can. Heard a few podcasts about it. Everything I hear is gold. It's just a matter of time. I'll probably wait until it comes out to video and buy it. But everything I hear about it is just amazing. So
it's truly an incredible film. Like, the animation of it is just like, I think back in the summer when Incredibles 2, I think that was the front runner, but this it blows it out of the water.
That's what I heard. I heard Incredibles 2. It was Incredible 2's movie to lose, but this movie came out and just blew everybody away.
Yeah. But the thing is with animation, it always goes to Pixar every year, no matter if there's not a film that Pixar has nominated, obviously, but anytime a Pixar film gets nominated, usually wins. But in this situation, I think Into the Spider-Verse is the front runner this time.
And then I'm hearing a lot of things that if that everybody thinks Roma is probably going to win Best Picture. I really want to see Vice. I heard Vice was good.
I've heard mixed things. I've heard I don't know if the true story, the whole story of Dick Cheney, but I've heard this Christian Bale's performance is incredible in it.
And then the Best Director's Choice was kind of like, there were some names that I saw that deserved to be in it, then there were some of them like, this guy wasn't even nominated. So it'll be fun though. I think the Oscars is the first week of March. I think it's the last weekend of February. Last week of February. Well, definitely plenty of time to talk Oscars. But man, how excited are you for Endgame to be just right around the corner? Especially, this is the first time we've talked to you since the trailer dropped.
Yeah, I think it's really my most anticipated of the year, just by far. Everything that we've seen, especially with Infinity War, how it ends, it's just, I think everyone at that moment said, hey, we can't wait a whole another year to see how this is going to resolve.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's only, I don't know, probably like, 2 or 3 months away, it's extraordinary.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ed? Do you think
Oh, there's so many different things. I mean, you've got, okay, you can go ahead and go back to the comics and look at several different parts of, Phase 4, Phase 3, and, leading farther past that. Then you can go ahead and look at the whole entire Infinity Wars arc, basically, if you want to call it that. You can also go and see differences where, Thanos is trying to court death, for that matter, because this is a lot of what it has to deal with is Thanos has a certain infatuation with death, and not dying. He doesn't really want to commit suicide. He literally has an infatuation with the mistress, death. So you looking at all kinds of different things like that. There's tons of different. I mean, I've heard a few from you. I've heard of tons from the internet. I've even got a couple myself that have small things with it. One thing I did think was really kick-ass is that the guy who started all of this, Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark, or Iron Man, whatever you'd like to call him, was the one to kind of name drop the actual title for the Avengers Infinity Wars Endgame. Back in Infinity Wars. It's going to be probably the biggest movie. I mean, honestly, until Star Wars, at least.
I still kind of think I still kind of think it probably blew Star Wars out of the water as far as how much money this thing is probably going to make.
Well, I mean, honestly, I kind of feel like it will go a little past Star Wars, because a lot of people have been kind of pissed off with the Force Awakens and then Last Jedi.
I told you I was hot during the episode.
I know,
Don't get me started.
But I'm just saying, people have been kind of, finicky about the stuff. I like them personally. I thought they were great. I thought but that's a different story for a different day. I think Star Wars will be the only one to come close to it, even over Captain Marvel.
So see, now that we're talking on budgets, I want to ask both of you guys your opinion. We're just 5 weeks away from Captain Marvel, a little under 5 weeks. They are tracking a $160 million opening weekend for Captain Marvel, and that's only the 7th biggest behind Iron Man 3. And Iron Man 3 made $174 million opening weekend. Do you guys think that with Endgame being so close to Captain Marvel on release dates, do you think this could hurt Captain Marvel's, box office draw?
A little bit, just because you see Chris Evans.
Right.
Tons of people know who Chris Evans is. You see Chris Hemsworth. Tons of people.
Well, I don't think it's got to do with star power.
I think a little bit, because not a ton of people know who the hell Brie Larson is. Like, you say Brie Larson, they're like, who the fuck is that? You know what I mean? Because honestly, I didn't know a lot about her. I've seen her in several movies, but I didn't know a ton about her or much about her to where, RDJ, Chris Evans, Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, but in 2008, did you know a lot about Robert Downey Jr.?
A little bit more than, Mark Ruffalo, definitely, because I didn't know who the fuck Mark Ruffalo was.
Right.
Except for, I know he's played in a couple of rom-coms back in the early 2000s, late 90s. Other than that, I didn't know who the hell he was.
So you think it's going to be star power. Zach, what do you think? Do you think having Captain Marvel too close to Endgame is going to hurt the weekend draw, or even because I mean, Captain Marvel comes out in March, and then just April you have Endgame.
Yeah, I don't think star power is going to have an effect on this. I think because, like you guys said, we are so weeks away from each of these films. Captain Marvel is March 8th, and I think Infinity War is April 27th. People are going to go see, especially go see Captain Marvel. And I think one of the big things that is going to have a box office appeal is that it's a female superhero film.
Right, so kind of the whole Gal Gadot with Wonder Woman kind of aspect.
Exactly. In the age of Time's Up and everything that's been going on in Hollywood, everyone's really wanting more female-driven characters, directors, so on and so forth. And so, even though you may not know who Brie Larson is, I think the same could be same said with Gal Gadot. No one really knew who she was up until maybe
Fast and
unless you were a
Furious
fan of the
series.
Fast and Furious films.
Yeah, definitely agree because that's the first time I've ever seen her, for that matter. I think the biggest thing helping Captain Marvel, there's two things. One is that pretty much, not many people are not many, but if you aren't versed or familiar with the comics at all, you didn't know what the hell that symbol was at the end.
Right.
That could have been the Justice League coming in for all and most people know, or Men in Black for that matter.
I was actually I'm more familiar with Brie Larson than I am Captain Marvel.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm over here hanging out with DC as far as knowing the comics, but with Marvel, I'm just a movie fan. I started watching in '08 with Iron Man, and then going into the Hulk. So, as far as Marvel goes, like, I only know movies, but I mean that trailer still got me pumped for Captain Marvel.
Oh yeah, I mean, honestly,
the only thing that I think can hurt the opening weekend of Captain Marvel is that with this movie being preset in the '90s, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. Maybe the only thing it has to do with Endgame is probably that last 45 seconds in credit scene.
Right, and I mean, honestly, this is more going to be her initiation.
Or do you guys think the last... I've had a lot of people tell me that they think, you're going to get her backstory in the first 30 minutes, and then the last hour and a half is going to be, her getting ready to do what she's got to do in Endgame.
Probably, because Captain Marvel, if you know about the character, is cited as the most powerful character in... at least hero in the MCU universe. Totally, 100%, the most powerful hero.
So theoretically, she could be really the one that gets in Thanos in the Endgame.
Or at least the key to it. Maybe not the direct one, because if you remember from the comics at least, the not Gamora, but the other daughter of Thanos, I forget her name all the time, even though I've heard it many times. But the other daughter of Thanos... Do what? Nebula, thank you. Nebula is actually the one to defeat Thanos in the comics. Due to kind of sneaking around, basically. So, with that being said, Captain Marvel, I think, is going to play a dramatically significant role in it. But like I said earlier, you come in with the last shot of Nick Fury sending the signal out to Captain Marvel, and then you come in with Endgame not pretty much on the coattails of Captain Marvel. So I think that's the appetizer to that buffet that they're going to line up, or at least that steak dinner.
That's true. Before we touch on Avengers 2012. And the reason I bring up, if Captain Marvel's too close to Endgame, because we're going to touch the two films I'm about to bring up now is still Disney, and it looks like Disney. I think Disney's having way too many films in 1 year, but more power to them. They're just going to create more money.
Oh yeah.
But do you think? I know Solo barely made its budget because they had to reshoot. But do you think if they put Solo out and waited until this past December, Zach? Say they put Solo out December 2018, do you think it would have made double its money? Because last year they put it out June of 2018, I think right after, people were still hooked on Infinity War, and it didn't it barely made its money back.
Yeah, Solo is I personally, I thought it was fine, I didn't hate it, but, I think one of the biggest problems, like Edward, you were saying earlier about Star Wars, this new trilogy has just divided so many fans. Just like, okay, I'm with you, Edward. I really enjoy The Force Awakens. I don't hate The Last Jedi. It has problems, but I don't hate it like most fans do.
Right.
And so, after The Last Jedi, I think people were just like, okay, you know what, we need a break from all this. Especially since,
right.
We have the end part of this trilogy comes out later this year.
Yep.
I think when Solo hit, I think people were just like, no, I'm out.
Right. I mean, so do you think, because Solo came out in June, and I think Last Jedi was the December before, they should have just waited a whole another year and put Solo in December of the following year.
And, yeah, and that's, I think releasing these big Star Wars films in the middle of December, right before Christmas, is a huge, it's an awesome strategy, just because you have, no competition other than maybe the Oscar date films that come out.
Right.
And
Right.
people want to get them movies at Christmas time. So,
And
they
that's-
have doubled the stuff if they had waited.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and I think I touched bases on this last episode. Was I think that's why Aquaman made so much money, was because there was not another big box office draw, really, other than Bumblebee, and I think people were like, fuck, it looks like another Michael Bay film. We're just going to go ahead and go with Aquaman. So I really think,
And it really,
I mean, even though
wasn't. It was actually pretty good.
yeah, I was going to say, even though Bumblebee got, I mean, I think it got into the 90s on Rotten Tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I heard nothing but good things about Bumblebee. But I think if you put Solo out in the middle of December, I don't think Aquaman makes that much money.
No. The funny thing is just like when you said that one, it's hard just hard to me to imagine that Aquaman is now the highest grossing film in the DCEU right now.
It's crazy.
It's staggering to me.
Which, about 20 years ago, Aquaman was basically the laughing stock of the Justice League. Like a guy who skates on fish.
Exactly.
Fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, don't get me wrong, you got Jason Momoa's big ass playing him. You're gonna be like, that dude has a 80-pound trident, and he's gonna spear through my fucking head. Bye.
So I know that's a different kind of subject, but I thought it might have been the same coattails, if you will, as far as, Captain Marvel is just a few weeks before Endgame. Would a lot of people just save their money and go see Endgame, or do you think people will dish out the money to go see both films?
I think there's a paycheck or two in between, so fuck it.
Yeah?
They're going to go see both films just because, like Edward said, it's really the last key to this whole Endgame thing, and people are going to want to know how she fits into the puzzle.
Exactly. And I mean, honestly, with Far From Home coming out, I think June, July, somewhere around there,
Yeah.
not too long after Endgame, for that matter. I think that might be the only one to suffer a little bit, but I don't think it's going to suffer that much at all, because people are going to want to know what the hell is going on with Spider-Man, Because literally
But
with...
the funny thing is... Oh, go ahead, Edward.
I was going to say, literally with Endgame, the two deaths, the one death that hit everybody the hardest that I've heard and that I've talked to was Peter Parker, Tom Holland's. Initially. Wow. The other death that I'm talking about that hit people hard was Groot's, especially when literally, because Vin Diesel is the only one, Vin Diesel, and then of course, the people who write the scripts and the producers and all that, and the director, are the only one who truly knows what the hell Groot says. Rocket and, Gamora, Peter Quill, and all of them, they just get a freaking script that, says, oh, this is the response to I am Groot, But literally, Vin Diesel gets to see what actually is said. And when it was released that he basically was calling Rocket Dad, like, save me, Dad, help me, or, all that, it was like, shit. People fell, especially when people had Baby Groot, and they were, I know me and you were working at the Warren at that time, when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, everybody was like, oh my god, Baby Groot at the end, we had a manager, if you remember her, falling head over heels for Baby Groot and everything, so, I think those are the two deaths that hit people the hardest, so they're going to want to see, okay, how did Peter get revived, because obviously things are going to happen in that aspect, or time's going to get messed up. Somehow people are coming back. So they're going to want to see,
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think Marvel kind of messed up on their marketing with the new Spider-Man movie, they shouldn't. I know people know that there's a new one coming out, but they shouldn't have released the trailer before Endgame because we know that he's going to come back. You know? Unless the only thing I could think of, this happens right before the events of Infinity War. That's the only thing I could think of.
Right. I mean, I've even heard a theory that Peter never got off the bus. You know, when he told his friend to cause a distraction, I've heard one theory: Peter never got off the bus because the distraction didn't work. Is what I've heard. One theory I've heard. But then again, that could be messing with time. That could be just I don't know, 1,000 other different things.
Or if they go back in time, you know, he could still just wake up and be like on the bus. You know what I mean? Like none of that ever happened.
Right.
So a lot of things to get into. What's crazy about it is going back and watching Avengers 2012. Zach, you said you watched it earlier this week as well. Did you notice any kind of special Easter eggs that jumped out at you that you didn't maybe see before last year?
I think the funny thing is the biggest thing I noticed just in this latest rewatching was that it's just the first Avengers, which is, you know, incredible superhero film. It's really, in the whole grand scheme of things, it's just really one piece of the puzzle. It's,
right.
You know, it's almost like a chip off the big sculpture almost.
Right. I mean, there were tons of different things. You know, when I gone ahead and gone on to some digging, basically, that I noticed different things within, just because, like, you know, okay, every time Robert Downey Jr. or Tony Stark is eating something, that was not planned, literally. Like when he offers, I think it was pistachios or something like that to Mark Ruffalo or, you know, Bruce Banner, that was a real reaction while they were acting.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just little funny things like that just tells you, you know, those guys are into their profession so much that sometimes it just glides off like it's normal ass life. You know, they're not playing some super genius or some super genius billionaire that's trying to crack a code to find, you know, this square cube thing. You know, they're just there.
Which I mean, the MacGuffin pretty much in this movie, everybody's after the Tesseract.
Yeah.
Which finds me really, really hard to believe. We talked about this at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
But Zach, I'm going to include you in this. Is the Tesseract the thing that Thanos? Does he use that to go from place to place where he needs to? Kind
of like the Bifrost in a way, because at the end of it, if you remember, you see that, you know, they've got it in the capsule contraption. And then, you know... Because the opening scene of the Avengers 2012 really reminded me of the opening scene of Infinity War. Right. Did Zach, did you get that feeling as well, or...?
No, I didn't. I didn't catch on to that until you just really pointed that out.
I kind of think they're using a little bit of like a Star Wars nod, because if you really look at Star Wars, every opening scene is on, you know, of course, the screen crawl, and then it zooms to a battleship. You know, this world-sized battleship every movie. So I think it's been a little bit of a nod to that in some sequences they're actually kind of, like you just said, opening the same way.
I do enjoy the darkness of the Phase 1 movies, because if you guys have noticed, I think Disney took over around Dark World, or when did they take over? It might have been Winter Soldier.
Maybe Guardians at least, because Guardians is much more like comedy than an action movie. Probably.
Right. Because that's one thing I did notice watching all the Phase 1 this week.
Which that would have been 2013.
Which I do realize that, like, it was really, really dark as far as like the first Avengers, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. Like, some of those movies are pretty dark compared to what they are now. Did you guys notice any kind of difference, Zach, or did it seem darker to you, or which one do you prefer?
It's kind of funny that you say that. Other than maybe Uh, Maybe the first Avenger, Captain America. All of them are very, especially the first Avengers. It's a very colorful film. It's very bright. It's very the contrast of it is just like on high grade. While Infinity War and Age of Ultron, they're much more like darker, like light tone films almost. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, you know, with the children of Thanos, you know, I don't remember their names right offhand with the four. Those guys, you know, it seemed like either you give it to us or we will kill you and not care and not bat an eye. Literally, you know, and it was kind of a different way to see. Because, I mean, with comparing universes and the kind of moral character, with DC, you've got don't kill, don't maim, be, you know, true and righteous and all this. To where, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of dark stuff in that universe as well. I mean, literally, a lot of the villains are, I believe, semi-darker than the MCU villains. Or the Marvel villains, for that matter.
Well, Loki, like, that's one thing I was, like, mentioning was, like, in Phase 1, low-key, at least in Thor and Avengers, he was a pretty dark character.
Yeah, because, I mean, you know, when he was standing over everybody, you know, just literally about to blast the shit out of that older guy, you know.
But then, like, as you see him, I know his character kind of goes through a change as well.
Yeah.
But even some of the dark villains in the later phases kind of seem like they have a little bit of a softer side. Except for Thanos, which I can see.
Right, but, I mean, he's supposed to be the biggest baddie of them all. You know,
what did you guys think of all the uniforms and all the costumes in the Avengers? Did they? I thought Cap. When did Cap go to his
Winter Soldier?
Was it Winter Soldier?
Yeah, when he got into his darker, more tactical. Yeah, it was Winter Soldier because he actually had a pretty kick-ass fight with GSP, or George St. Pierre from the UFC. To where on that mission they revised the actual uniform to be darker and more tactful, basically, or tacticful, basically. So you could kind of go dark.
I agree with that, Edward. I really didn't notice until you said that the suit that he has in Avengers and obviously the first Avenger, it's much more like a, you know, it is what it is. It's a World War II, like,
the old
propaganda type thing.
The old propaganda, I like that word, propaganda, you know, bright, you know, stripes and stars, we are proud to be who we are, we're not coming at you from the ground, we're coming at you straight on, we're going to punch you in the mouth, kick your ass, and drag you through the mud, to where with Winter Soldier and after, it's been, you know, still going to do the same thing, but I'm smarter, I'm more revised, you know, because back then, war was up front, straight up, you know, I mean, guerrilla tactics were invented back in the 1700s, so 200 plus years ago, coming up on 300 some odd years here in a few decades, but, you know, with that being said, you know, now espionage warfare is more used to, in movies, I'm talking movies, I don't know true warfare in real life.
Right.
With a lot of movies, espionage warfare, guerrilla tactics, and all that is being more strongly used to get the job done, if you will. That's
another thing I enjoy about the Captain America movies just in themselves, is that it feels more than a superhero movie. It feels like a spy, underground kind of movie, a thriller spy movie almost, if you will.
Well, I mean, even if you look at how a lot of them have matured, or the character has developed from Phase 1, 2, and 3. Thor, for instance. Thor 1 was, you know, kind of cool, you know, it was the old school kind of I'm a Norse god kind of thing and all that. 2 was kind of stale, honestly. 3 came out, or Ragnarok, and it was just like, holy shit, like, this is a badass, you know, up until that, and then the humor came in and all that. To where with Cap, you know, 1, he was, like you just said, the, you know, propaganda machine, you know, the bright, shining hero, kind of the, in a way, Superman kind of deal, you know, to where through Winter Soldier and Civil War, shit turned 180 degrees and was just, like you just said, spy, basically.
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to ask you both about comparing some of these Marvel movies. In the earlier Marvel movies, I'm talking like Daredevil, the Punisher. We talk a lot about soundtrack and music on this show, as far as like movie soundtracks go. A lot of those soundtracks back in the day had, you know, some hard rock and some rap. It had various artists, almost like a great, you know, not a greatest hits, but had a bunch of different artists playing the soundtrack, and then that soundtrack would then be played in the movie. Do you guys wish that they would do that more often with today's superheroes, or do you kind of like the original score? You know, not having a lot of today's artists play soundtracks in these movies. I'll
let you go.
I'll start off with you, Zach.
I really like the score aspect of these new superhero films. I really love the Avengers theme in the films, and you know, like you said, Juan, they don't really do that anymore. You know, it's kind of been forgotten. They just kind of like, well, we're just gonna. I kind of think this all kind of started with Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, because his Hans Zimmer's score to those films is just incredible. I think since then, it's been kind of the norm of we're going to have these superhero films have their own theme to them.
Yeah, I can see that, because one that really dates back into my mind that just sticks out is the Spider-Man soundtrack from like 2000. Like almost every song from that was like, you know, was popular. Like you heard it on the radio, and then when you hear it on the radio, you think of fucking Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would like to see maybe one song dedicated to one of these new movies. But other than that, I do enjoy, like you, Zach, the original score, the thing that just, because you can, you know, when you hear that Avengers opening, you know something's about to go down.
Well, I mean, that's like, you know, it's kind of comparing. Okay, you brought up the Punisher,
or even like let me cut you off, but even like the Transformers movies with Linkin Park.
Yeah. Oh man,
those songs.
Which I'm a huge Linkin Park fan, so I love that, and you know, the New Divide makes you think of Transformers to a point. It makes me think of a couple other things as well, but that's just personal stuff. But yeah, I definitely agree. Like you said with Punisher, though, Punisher, like The Rock, that's kind of perfect for it. You know, because it's that hard, gritty, bite your ear off kind of movie. It's not, you know, I'm just going to punch you in the face, throw a shield at you, and then maybe blast you with a pulsar beam.
Almost like I guess Suicide Squad would be one that recently did something like that. But the amount of money they spent on that soundtrack, though,
is crazy.
Especially to get especially to get Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody on that soundtrack. I think they spent too much money, probably. I
mean, yeah, but it got everybody hyped and got everybody lit for it. But you know, like y'all said, with the orchestral tones of the newer soundtrack, or I wouldn't say newer soundtracks, but of the so far the usual MCU that everybody has come to know as the true MCU, the orchestral tones and the orchestral and band, for that matter, are I've played orchestra. I've played a violin for 7.5 years when I was in school, so I know some of the different patterns, ways, and techniques to play and to go on. And I know some of those parts can be very tricky. Some of them can be very simple to where you make it sound very tricky. But with that, it's very cool that they're actually having either a group or a director or, you know, spending time to go out there and make an effort for that, instead of just being like, oh, okay, I like Evanescence's song, or I like this song from Five Finger Death Punch, or you know what, Avenged Sevenfold, I like that song. You know, I mean, yeah, they're cool. You hear them on the radio, like you said, you think of that. But you know, when you actually have the effort into it, you know, a lot of people, I think, like you said, you like the score of movies, go ahead and actually enjoy it more just because you actually did that with your group. It's not just like, you didn't get Bruno Mars, hey, come sing this song, thank you very much, you can go, we've got that track, we own the rights. Yeah, so I enjoy this new one, honestly, a lot. This new kind of wave of inspiration, quite a bit. And, I mean, don't get me wrong, when you hear the da, 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 when you hear that, you automatically think of Avengers. You don't think of just Iron Man or just Hulk or just Thor. Automatically think of the Avengers as a team, as a unit, as a whole group, not split. So, and
if you really, I kind of forgot about it. Well, I didn't forget. I actually have this song on my phone. The first Avengers actually did have that Soundgarden song, "Live to Rise." That was kind of that song to that movie type thing.
Yep.
So,
I think that's in after you see Thanos right there at the end credit scene. I think that song pops up right after that.
Mhm. And really, it was funny looking at what that version of Thanos is like. In that, I think back in 2012 when that movie got released, it was like, okay, you know what, we're just going to put this little mid-credit scene right here, and if we get to it, which is, obviously what ended up happening, but if we don't, then I think not a lot of, unless you're in the comics, you don't really know who that character was.
And honestly, that's actually really funny that you brought that up, because Johnny Juan was just talking to me about that maybe an hour ago, a little over an hour ago, literally. So that's pretty funny and cool that you bring that up.
And yeah, and it's like he's much more like, obviously it's like a CGI creation, but like he has much more blue, like his blue eyes are much more sharp, and his skin is almost like a
royal, deep royal purple.
Play-Doh type look.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see, and I wish they would release some documentaries sometime soon about this whole Marvel cinematic universe, just the movies. But it's interesting to see back in 2008 or 2012 when they wrote the Avengers. I wonder if, because obviously it starts off with a big old storyboard, a big script. Somebody's got to approve the script, rewrite it, or whatever they got to do. But it's really interesting to see if this person who wrote this script for the Avengers, if any of what we're talking about now as far as Endgame or Infinity War was ever brought up in any of that.
Actually, I kind of have an answer for you. A not a full spectrum answer, but an ultraviolet answer for you.
Well, I'm sure they probably put two and two together and said, oh, we'll just go through the comics and go through that way.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. Josh Whedon actually kind of had, the thoughts to have Thanos as the main behind-the-scenes villain until a certain point when they'd bring him in, of course, and I mean, like you just said, following the comics. But, yeah, definitely they had that kind of mentality and momentum leading up to where it is now to get to that point. But going to that point required different things and different, like you, Zach, said earlier, puzzle pieces fitting together. And this is just basically, we're just basically doing the outer edge of the puzzle piece. Like, honestly, because that's how you do a puzzle. The outer edge, go in. Simple as that.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
So, I mean, we're just building the border at this point, for that matter.
And the funny thing is that when, like, I remember, I don't know about you guys, but I remember when I went and saw the first Avengers, it was me and a whole bunch of college friends, and we were just, like, psyched out of our minds, and when we got to the mid-credit scene, we were just like, who the hell is this guy? We don't know who this is. And then, really, it kind of, like, we researched them, and was like, okay, this is Thanos, this and that. But when they announced the second Avengers, we're going to be going with Ultron and all that. It was like, wait, then why put the Thanos thing in the first film?
Yeah, that kind of puzzled me too. Well, go ahead and finish what you were going to say, though.
So, what did you say, Juan?
Oh, I said, yeah, that puzzled me too, but go ahead and finish what you were going to say about the Age of Ultron.
it was just when we got to Age of Ultron, it was just like we kind of dropped all of the Thanos stuff until the very last credit scene in Age of Ultron. It was him getting the gauntlet out of the storage compartment or whatever.
Right, when he
And
said,
then,
might as well do it myself.
yeah, and from that point on, it was, okay, we're back on the Thanos storyline.
Now I've got a question for y'all, and one honestly I don't know if either of y'all will really know about this one. Okay, we've got Brie Larson, Captain Marvel, coming in. We've got Captain Marvel being played. I'm pretty sure by Jude Law coming in. So we've got the Kree and all that, and the Chitauri's, and just all these different alien races and everything like that, right? What my thought is, will we have an Adam Warlock coming in? Because honestly, the only reason I say we probably won't is because they've already gotten the Soul Stone. But, because he was supposed to be, he's the bearer of the Soul Stone when Thanos actually originally gets it in the comics. But to me, I'm going, would we have an Adam Warlock just come out of the friggin' blue to, help out with this catastrophe event to set it right, or to be kind of extra muscle for everybody? Because the only group that truly survives out of the Guardians and the Avengers and everybody else, the only group to truly survive were all the original Avengers.
Right.
That's the only group that survived as a whole.
Maybe if they go back in time, maybe I still think everything points to them going back into time.
Because we've got the new Avengers, of course, to where Bucky takes over as Captain America. We've got to where the death of Iron Man. We've got so many different storylines and story arcs that they could go on to, and they could go on to multiple, to where Bucky takes over, or Bucky stays dead, Cap stays dead, and oh crap, I forgot. If you would, the military guy that Cap runs by in Winter Soldier, Falcon, thank you, to where actually Falcon takes over as Captain America for a time being until Steve Rogers actually comes back. We've got so many different lines in the timeline that we can pull from and go to, that it's going to be crazy, and nobody can pinpoint exactly which ones they're going to. And I've watched several videos on cutting videos on, oh well, they're going for this, they're going for that, because this says that, and this shot is this, and that shot's that, and all this, and this is where and all that. But no one truly knows, because just because you get a 2-second part of a scene, like where Tony's talking to the helmet to send a message to Piper, or Pepper, I'm sorry, to Pepper, you don't truly get knowledge, because he might think he's truly going to die out there in space, but everybody's saying with that Nebula's supposed to be with him, or would be the only one to be with him if anybody is with him. So there's so many speculations and different little points you could go to, but it's not even funny for that matter.
And that's the thing I love. That's really the thing I love about Marvel, is that they're the only ones Kevin Feige's the only one that really knows how this is going to end.
Yeah.
And we can come up with all the theories that we want, but every single in my thinking, every single time I think I know what's going to happen, it never happens.
Flip script.
We could say that they're going to travel back in time, but they may have to figure out a way to throw us all off and say, oh no, this is how this is going to end.
Right. Or they might just have some shawarma at the end of the day.
Have you guys ever thought about maybe when Thanos did that, everybody didn't die, but maybe there's just again, I don't read the comments, so whatever I'm saying could sound completely dumb, I don't know. Yeah. But when Thanos snaps his fingers, another theory could even be maybe there's just an alternate universe.
That's
kind of like how Star Trek, in the new Star Trek movies, there's an alternate universe. There's a young Spock and an old Spock. You guys think maybe even something like that?
I'll let you go, Zach.
That's the interest. I don't think so, just because I think they really want I think they really want this to be a linear storytelling experience, and so they don't want to add in like, oh, you know, he snapped his fingers, so everyone that you think is dead is actually alive in a whole new universe, and those that died in the first timeline, all the ones that survived in the first timeline died in the second timeline. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, alternative timelines.
Then you would, I think, yeah, you lost me there. I think you would lose the crowd or the fans completely.
Yeah, especially if you don't truly explain it. Because, I mean, okay, you
almost kind of like Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse.
But, I mean, then you've got to go back to one of the lines. And it's not like they put this stuff in there just for the hell of it. They put different lines in there for different reasons. You know, with Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange, you know, saying, you know, out of 14,065,000 whatever thousand or something like that, and, you know, Tony Stark asks, how many did we win? He goes, just one. You know what I mean? Maybe they won more than that, but maybe there was one where it's a quote-unquote perfect win. You know, maybe not a bloodless win, but the best possible win. And maybe, you know, I've heard so many different things, as in, you know, Tony and Stephen Strange are, you know, kind of on the same page and aligned with each other, to where I'm going, you know, I don't really think that's 100% correct, because Tony Stark looks, in that little scene, which I know I just said you can't grab a lot out of it, but grabbing whatever you can out of it, Tony to me looks lost as hell.
Yeah.
And not just because he's in space lost, he looks physically, literally, and mentally lost.
Yeah, I mean, I touched on it earlier in the week just from watching it, but going back to Iron Man 3, I mean, they wrote it that way, obviously, because in Avengers he went to the wormhole, but Avengers 3, he was out of it too.
Well, I mean, yeah,
he kept blacking out, he kept having anxiety attacks, so I think, I mean, maybe him going up into that wormhole, maybe that leads into something as well.
Possibly, and I think, because, I mean, okay, you've got one thing to look at as the Infinity Gauntlet is destroyed. The snap.
Speaking of the Gauntlet,
you know, destroyed it.
Even though that's destroyed, going back to the original Avengers, the only stone that's mentioned is the Tesseract, right?
Right, the Space Stone. Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. Then you have Guardians introducing the Power Stone, and then you've got, of course, Doctor Strange.
Wasn't there one introduced in Thor?
Thor, actually, I think it was just the Tesseract that was in Thor.
Yeah, the Tesseract was in Thor.
Predominantly, yeah, because I don't think the Reality Soul and I forget what. Because there's the space power, time. Then there is soul, reality, and mind stone. That's the last one that I always forget. You know, the mind stone is introduced in Avengers Age of Ultron, because Vision, of course, has the mind stone. The soul stone and I think the reality stone are never really talked about until Infinity Wars, because literally they could have easily slipped it into Guardians 1 or 2, simply because, you know, they gone to the Collector with the Power Stone to hopefully keep it safe there. But the thing is luckily they didn't, simply because, like, yeah, he mentioned the stones, but I mean, not there wasn't really an actual this is it physically part in it.
So, as a whole, as far as the movie itself goes, what do you like? Pretend we're in 2012.
Right.
Looking back at the original Avengers movie, what would you say is probably one of the biggest positives coming out of the movie? Zach, I'll start with you.
I think the biggest positive coming out of the movie was that it actually worked. The fact that you were able to get kind of B-level characters, especially with Iron Man, Thor, not so much, maybe not much so much with Hulk or Captain America, but with Scarlet Witch,
Scarlet Witch.
Black Widow and Hawkeye, the fact that you were able to get these characters together and have a film that is not only entertaining but sets up a whole entire universe,
Yeah.
that to me is incredible.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked when I was looking at the runtime again. I watched this movie twice in like 3 days, and like 2 hours and 25 minutes. It did not seem like, it felt like it went on like an hour.
Right. I can agree with that.
The pacing of it is so like precise, and that like you open up with like going into the Tesseract, and next thing you know, you see our heroes walking in through Central Park. It's just that quick.
Yeah, and that's practically start to finish right there, literally. Because one of the positives I think now from then till now, because then it was okay, we've got to stop Loki and all that.
Right, no, we're just talking about like just this movie itself. As far as positives go, like say you just got done watching it, you walked out of the theater. What is the one thing that's like sticking into your mind about this?
Their first victory, because literally like all of them have so many different arguments, of course with Cap and Iron Man, and then
You can see the tension build right there already.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Film
and,
one.
That's definitely the point where it led up to, but it felt, because okay, when the ship started to crash, you've got, at first they're bickering, oh, go get the suit, we'll go ahead and go a few rounds and all that, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh no, go get the suit, and he's like, oh yeah, I definitely should, and then they're helping together, and yeah, of course Cap is not a brilliant tech genius like Tony Stark is, but Tony Stark also is not a fighter and doesn't have the true heart all the time. At least he does have a true heart, but not the true heart like Captain America or Steve Rogers does.
What about Hulk? Everybody's opinion of Hulk in this movie. Everybody just agrees that Mark Ruffalo and this CGI aspect of the Hulk is the greatest ever. Obviously, the times are changing, but what do you guys think of the 2012 version of the Hulk compared to 2008? It had been like 3 or 4 years since you've seen the Hulk.
I really enjoyed Edward Norton's Hulk. I think that I really don't know what happened, the whole behind the scenes going on with that, but I don't really know, honestly, if he could have fit in with these groups. That Edward Norton fit in with these group of characters. I think changing him to Mark Ruffalo is kind of I think Edward Norton envisions like I don't know what I'm trying to say. He symbolizes like the athletic version of Bruce Banner,
right?
Like where he can be Hulk, but Mark Ruffalo is kind of like the more nerdy Bruce Banner that when he turns into the Hulk, that makes sense.
I can see that like Edward Norton's Bruce Banner can easily intimidate you and be like, oh, that's somebody I don't really want to mess with, but Mark Ruffalo's Bruce Banner, you can feel that nerdiness to where, oh, I'm going to push this guy around.
Because, honestly, it's almost a literal Jekyll and Hyde kind of situation. To where, honestly, you were saying that, it was a good transition. Mark Ruffalo was actually supposed to play in the 2008 Hulk movie. He was the first choice. I forget what exactly happened to go ahead and what made them cast Edward Norton instead of Mark Ruffalo. But yeah, he was the first choice, so literally they didn't even ask Edward Norton at all to come back for the Avengers and so on. They went straight up to Mark Ruffalo, and I think they actually kind of cornered him to where he only got to work with them at a certain point in time. So, there's always that little...
And something else that's interesting, the CGI of the Hulk in 2008 is very different from the Hulk CGI with the 2012 Avengers. If you compare them side by side.
Yeah, I did hear that the Hulk in the Avengers and everything since is like Mark Ruffalo's actual face being CGI'd into the Hulk. That's the first time like that's ever happened. Usually it's always been like a random face, or probably Lou Ferrigno's face has been the Hulk too. I think that was Lou Ferrigno's face in the 2003 Hulk movie.
Yes.
Which I think everybody tries to forget that movie. It's almost a 3-hour movie.
I don't mind that. I actually like it. Like, one of my favorite scenes in that was the dog fight versus Hulk. I don't think that's the best Hulk, but I think that was a cool aspect. Just because, like, I've literally seen it based on strength and all that different things, and that Hulk is so far the strongest of all Hulks, literally. Now, I will say, you know, one interesting fact that you said with that, there was too many improvisation ad-libs and, you know, just on-spot lines and things that were done. Going back with, you know, Mark Ruffalo playing Bruce Banner / the Hulk, and actually, you know, having him do the motion capture instead of someone else, he was the one who came up with screaming at Tony Stark's character when Tony Stark came down from the wormhole. It was him, and they weren't going to do that at first. It was just going to be Tony waking up and talking about shawarma, basically, but he basically, I think he got tired of waiting around because it was a few different takes, and he eventually just started, you know, yelling at him to wake up just out of the blue, and they kept it and, you know, did their rendering and sound different aspects of that and stuff, so on and so forth. But yeah, actually, that was an improvisation by Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, there was a ton of different improvisations in this movie.
I kind of wish like we touched bases on the Hulk in the Avengers 2012. How about all the other characters? Did you guys were you guys happy? Are you guys still happy with the cast of the 2012 Avengers movie? Like, obviously Robert Downey Jr., everybody ended up being good, but at the time when everybody was starting to be cast, did anybody have a second look at, man, why is he in this movie?
I've got one.
What about you, Zach?
No, I think everyone fits perfectly. I kind of think that Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye, I think he's just kind of been like, yeah, we'll just splice him in here and there, and, you know, obviously he's going to be in Endgame.
So going back,
you know, if you're going to,
go ahead.
If you're going to use the character, go ahead, but just, you know, if you're going to use them, that's fine, but if you're not, just figure them out of it.
Right. And see, that was who I was going to say is, you know, Jeremy Renner and Hawkeye. To me, it almost doesn't truly fit totally, because he does fit because, you know, that's what's become to be known as the true Avengers, and not just because of the MCU, but it's been in the comics as well. But it's just with Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff, fits because literally, like, her and Captain America or Steve Rogers are, you know, kicking ass on the ground. And I mean, yes, she does bring the sexual aspect and the female aspect and all that good stuff and all that, but she brings, you know, still that aspect of that, you know, she is the normal human being out there. Yeah, she's a very skilled, very intelligent, very just strong person, but, you know, she didn't need the serum like Steve Rogers did. She is her own thing. Yes, she's just been trained and practically tortured for years and turned into this true weapon, you know, to where Jeremy Renner, you know, there's so many talks with Hawkeye and Black Widow that, you know, oh, you know, do you remember this? Do you remember that? Well, I remember this differently. Well, this was that. This was this. To me, it's like, okay, you know, show that, though. It's almost like he's trying to... It's almost like his character is trying to retire, kind of like what they did with him in Infinity Wars. Which, you know, like you said, Zach, I mean, if you're going to use the character and, you know, let him do his thing or let her do her thing. But I don't think whoever wrote in a lot of the script for Hawkeye was really in the heart of it when they chose to have the different actions and different lines and all that for dialogue for Jeremy Renner. Because I think Jeremy Renner done fantastic with what he's doing.
Right. I mean, I did read that the character Hawkeye and Jeremy Renner was just kind of thrown in there.
Yeah. Back
in the first Thor movie, I saw that they wanted Ant-Man and the Wasp to be in the first Avengers movie.
Well,
they wanted Ant-Man to have his own movie before he was in the Avengers.
Well, because literally Ant-Man... Okay, Captain America was not a founding member of the Avengers. Captain America didn't come on until number 4 of the Avengers comic book series, to where Ant-Man and the Wasp were 2 of the original founding members of the Avengers. So, I mean, it would have made sense, but there was no plan. And, I mean, I don't know if they were going through casting troubles or if it was just, we're not planning this, or Captain America, is kind of a bit more known or whatever it was, but they just chose a different route. But now, they've got they've got the Ant-Man and the Wasp, in the universe now. To me, it kind of just seems like a joke in partial ways, just because, like...
Character?
Yeah, it really does, because, I mean, Paul Rudd, to me, is more of a comedic actor, but, I still feel like he's got some chops to deliver. I don't feel like he's been really pushed to bring in his serious or dramatical or...
Oh, no. Dude can act. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
He can put together a serious role, but I think they just...
Because I remember him in one of the more... actually, 2 of the more usual movies that I've ever really remember him from is 40-Year-Old Virgin and Role Models. I mean, honestly, I don't remember him in a ton of serious stuff, or a ton of stuff like they want him, or that they maybe should have pulled off with Ant-Man. And I think Ant-Man is good within its own rights, but I just think it's been kind of... Now, I haven't seen Ant-Man and Wasp, so forgive me on that point. So maybe I should watch that and not just be fully wrong. I don't fully know.
It's good, it's funny, but I think...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think it's way better than the first Ant-Man. I really enjoy that one. And you kind of do need to see Ant-Man and the Wasp before you go see Endgame. I won't tell you why. I'll let you figure that out. I'll let you see why.
I kind of know a little bit of why, because I know about the quantum realm and all that already. So.
Yeah, well...
I know it's not probably only that, but yeah.
Right. But it was kind of like in the Endgame trailer that Juan would probably agree with me. They kind of gave away their card of, how did he get out of the quantum realm?
Yeah, that's another
Especially
thing.
when we left off in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Right.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think I was really surprised when the trailer for Endgame came out. I thought we got way too much too early as far as the Endgame trailer. Do you agree, Zach?
You see, I'm the opposite. I didn't think we got really...
Enough.
What they showed us, it didn't really say, okay, this is what's going to happen. It was just like, okay, this may have taken place maybe a couple days after the snap, and you're just like, okay, so literally half of life on Earth is gone. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it from both ways. The only thing I think they gave us was, like, I don't think Ant-Man or Hawkeye should have been in the trailer at all.
Yeah, I think the Hawkeye, if they had left that would have been a really cool surprise. And
I think, yeah, because, I mean, honestly, I just hope they actually incorporate a bit of effort and heart into Hawkeye's character, because, I mean, okay, with Age of Ultron, they did significantly better with his character.
Yeah, but, Hawkeye, to me, as the movies got,
he just kind of got a tired character.
Yeah. The character got stale.
Yeah. I mean, I do think they got better with him, as in, they actually put him in some situations that he was a big help to civilians. But, I mean, as in, the overall aspect, because you've still got Black Widow kicking ass and all that with the big boys.
Yeah.
She's not backing down. To where Hulk bitched out, but understandably so. But I just don't see him doing a bunch more in real aspect of the MCU.
well, I was going to ask you a question. Once Endgame is over and Far From Home is out, do you think? And obviously we don't know what's going to happen in Endgame, especially with the main group of Avengers. Do you think that they should maybe stop and kind of just let all this rest for a couple of years and then kind of maybe set like a new group of Avengers up, or do you think they should just keep going?
Oh no, there's way too much money involved.
Yeah.
I think I already saw that. I think the next movie after Spider-Man: Far From Home is, I think there's one either in I think the next one is February. It's between February and May of 2020.
So about a year and a few months from now. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I would like to see different characters come out and all that, which they're probably going to do before they truly assemble another Avengers unit. I would say. But I do think a partially new or a fully new Avengers will be coming up, and I think Tom Holland playing Peter Parker, Spider-Man, will be at part of the helm of that. Maybe not Tony Stark-esque, maybe not even Captain America-esque, but more like a Thor-esque kind of character. But I mean, as far as that, I think more like, let's say probably Black. In my honest opinion, I think Black Panther will be the next like Cap or Tony Stark, the leader of the group.
I
because there's huge money with that, and I mean they really, you still hear tons about Black Panther, and it's almost been a full, over a full year actually. About,
I think it came out last February.
I think about so we're on the cusp of a full year away from it. And I mean, I still every now and then we'll hear something about Wakanda Forever or Wakanda or, Black Panther, whatever have you.
Well, and I agree, and we're literally like 3 weeks away from the Oscars, and it's nominated for Best Picture. So
right, so
that character's not going away anytime soon.
No, because they basically I don't think it was unexpected. I just think it was like they didn't think it was going to do half of what it did. I don't think they thought that it could actually rival Infinity War for that year, literally.
And that's the thing, like, as long as we keep dishing out the money and going see these movies, they will find somebody to put in that spot for these movies to continue to go on.
Because, I mean, I know, I don't know if you remember this from Guardians of the Galaxy, but I remember a patron coming in, I think he said 17, 18 times within a 2 week period of time. He's seen Guardians of the Galaxy, which, I mean, I've seen it 2 or 3 times within a month or so, or of its, run in the theater. But the guy literally, I think, said he'd seen it about 17, 18 times within a 14-day period. And I'm just going, dude, that's a lot of money out of one paycheck, let alone a lot of times to see a movie. I mean, jeez.
So, I know as we approach the end of this episode, Zach, looking back at the Avengers 2012, if you had to pick one of your favorite scenes, what would probably be your favorite scene in this film?
Oh man, there's so many. The opening sequence with Loki coming to the Shield complex is really good. The battle between Thor and Iron Man and the Force is like so much fun. But I'd probably, honestly, my favorite scene of the whole entire film is in the middle of the New York battle. The Hulk stops that giant like snake thing from attacking them, and then the theme swells in, and then there's the pan all around the characters, and it's like, yeah, this is the Avengers. Yeah, This is awesome.
Yeah.
See, I've got to say, for me, it's either that one, literally, kind of actually the I don't know exactly the term for it, but the front poster of the DVD
I got what
case.
You mean.
Either that or when, to me, because it kind of displayed a different side of them, that in the depths, they will work together when needed, when Captain America and Iron Man were working together. And I mean, it was only for maybe 3 to 5 seconds, but, still that little twinge of, brotherhood, if you will. And I just think they're the oldest brothers and trying to lead the squad, and one has one way of thinking, the other has the other, of course, and they just butt heads a lot. I just kind of a brotherly love thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it. If I had to pick one, I would probably pick the the scene where Loki uses that wicked little device and gets that guy's eye out, and then you see Cap, Cap's trying to stop him, and then here comes Black Widow, and then out of nowhere here comes the AC/DC music, and Iron Man shows up. Yeah. So to me, that would probably, because that's the first time I think you see Cap and Iron Man on screen together in the movie.
Yeah, pretty sure actually. Yeah.
So to me, that's just that's something, like, if I'm a Marvel fanboy, that's something you've been waiting to see on the big screen your whole life. That's almost like, seeing Batman and Superman on screen together.
Yeah. Actually, that's what I was thinking of literally right now.
So, yeah, it's good. It's definitely one that we visited, we enjoyed. Next up is, in a few months, we're going to be covering Age of Ultron. Actually, next month, 3 weeks from tonight, 3 weeks from, what is it, the 2nd?
Yes.
So, yeah, the first week, we'll probably be covering the Age of Ultron the first week of March. Next week, though, actually, we were going to cover Bad Times at the El Royale this week. Is that something you've seen, Zach?
I have not. I've been trying to get a hold of it. I've heard it's like really, it's a very twisty type film.
Yeah, it's very Quentin Tarantino-esque. It's not bad. I really enjoyed it. That's something that we're going to be covering next week. We were going to cover it this week, but I was like, man, I didn't realize we were just 4.5 weeks away from Captain Marvel. So we started off the road to Endgame, if you will. Before I let you go, Zach, if you had to talk somebody into this film and they want to get into Marvel and they want to go see Endgame, but obviously, hey, you gotta watch some of these movies before you go see Endgame. If you had to talk somebody into watching the Avengers, what would you say to them, and then what would your star rating for this movie be out of 10?
If I had to convince someone to see this movie, which, who hasn't seen the Avengers?
I know some.
Probably. Oh, you know somebody, Edward?
I know a few people, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I think if you're just a fan of comic book films and if you've never seen any of these characters, this is probably a good starting point. If you would want to go back and see the origin films of these characters, that's cool. But really, honestly, you could probably start with Avengers and then maybe do Age of Ultron, Civil War, and then, probably Infinity War. I think that would probably encapsulate everything that leads up into Infinity War. So, and then, if I had to grade this out, it'd probably be a 10 out of 10. I really love this film. It's probably one of my top films of all time, maybe.
Yeah, we were just talking about this before the movie started. We were like, man, can you imagine the summer of 2012 had the Avengers and The Dark Knight Rises come out in the same season?
I remember that because it was a battle between my friends what was going to be the best superhero film of that year, The Avengers or The Dark Knight Rises. And I truly think that the Avengers kind of won out. The Dark Knight Rises, I still find it to be a quality film, but a lot of people don't, and it had the sad tragedy of the movie theater shooting just the night of the premiere. So
yeah, that's true. That does kind of put a
damper on it.
A damper on the. But to me, if you're looking at a good superhero movie, then you're looking at the Avengers. To me, I think The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises could be. You don't even have to be a superhero fan to really kind of enjoy those movies.
Definitely, and I honestly think that with that, okay, you're comparing.
I only think I don't think it's because of the character. I think it's the visionary that Christopher Nolan had directing those movies.
Right, and
any other director, I think
I think the only one that could even maybe go up that far would be Tim Burton, but he's got a totally different style.
Right.
So it's not truly comparable, but they're still both dark directors. But with that being said, okay, in 6 years ago, 7 years ago, you're talking about the Avengers versus Dark Knight Rises, literally. Now you're talking about, let's see, I don't know, Endgame versus Aquaman. You know what I mean? And Aquaman has already came out. Aquaman's proven it's a powerhouse, but
yeah, but
there's no way in hell it's standing up
when
to
you,
Endgame.
I was gonna say, even with you saying that out loud, I kind of laughed on the inside.
I know,
'cause I think,
but I'm just saying, like that, to where that's what I'm saying though. You compare, because that's the only main one coming out. Because I think Wonder Woman 1984 or whatever is coming out in 2020, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
I haven't heard personally of any other scheduled DC movies, and correct me if I'm wrong, or DCU.
Birds of Prey comes out, I think,
Okay.
2020.
Oh, okay. So none in 2019.
Right.
But I mean, that's the only one comparable to it, to where Dark Knight Rises was comparable back then. And honestly, as in numbers, I think Dark Knight Rises, edged it out. If I'm not mistaken, I don't fully know the numbers right on hand. No.
I think Avengers was number one. I think.
Okay. I was about to say I don't know exact numbers, but
I think it was Avengers, Skyfall, and then The Dark Knight Rises, I think.
But I mean, don't get me wrong, they were probably still within 100 million of each other. To where.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think another movie that actually had 2012 was Deathly Hallows Part 2 of the Harry Potter series.
Oh.
That made a shit ton of movie then too.
Oh.
But I mean, if you're comparing any movie right
Deathly
now.
Hallows was 2011, actually. I'm sorry, Edward.
Oh, okay. I was about to say I know it was either 11 or 12, but I mean, with 2019, if you're comparing any movies, DC versus MC, you've just got Endgame, the big boy of the Marvel universe, because there's 3 of them this year, versus Aquaman, because that's the only one they've got coming out this year. And I think maybe if...
Well, I mean, technically Aquaman was 2018.
Yeah.
Endgame's going to be 2019, so really there's no competition.
Okay, yeah, that's
and
true.
you pretty much created... Disney pretty much created competition within itself.
Basically, yeah, because I mean, it's got Endgame, Far From Home, and freaking Captain Marvel.
Well, I know, Juan, you have to wrap the episode up. I was just going to ask a question. Do you think, Edward, I know at the beginning of this you were talking about the only thing that maybe could clip Endgame is maybe the next last Star Wars film?
Yeah.
My personal opinion, I kind of think that if it's good as they are, the first trailer shown it to be, I kind of think that the Lion King remake could outdo it.
Okay, I can kind of see that, but I mean, like actually you just said, that's Disney making
want to know what are they going to bring that's not in the animated films.
Right, because I mean, but then again, that's just like he said, Disney making its own competition right there, and that's, because it's Disney punching itself in the head practically.
Yeah, I think the Lion King...
I kind of agree.
I think the Lion King will do... I think the Lion King will do $500 million, to where I think Endgame will do $1.5 billion.
Truthfully, I think more like $750 million, just because tons of people our age are going to have that nostalgia effect, and then they're going to want to take their kids, and maybe their parents will go and see it, or the older generation will go and see it, or whatever have you, just for that, like I said, nostalgia reason.
Well, I mean, Beauty and the Beast was the same way, but it didn't make nearly the amount of money that Infinity War did.
Yeah, but I mean, back in the day, it didn't make nearly the money that Lion King did either.
Beauty and the Beast.
And we also got Toy Story 4 this year, too.
There's another.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, we've got so many nostalgic movies coming out this year, it's not even funny. With Star Wars, Toy Story, The Lion King, the Aladdin remake, I think,
I don't know about you guys, but the Aladdin to me looks terrible.
I'm gonna go see it. I like Will Smith. I like Aladdin. I want to keep an open mind, like we like to do here on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast.
That's true. I mean, I probably won't go pay $10 to go see it. I might wait to buy it, but I thought I was going to be excited for it, and it's just.
I will say the guy who plays Aladdin looks like he fits the character pretty decently though. But then again, I will say the only thing to me that's really going to kind of put a downfall on it will be, and I hate to say this, Will Smith, because try as you may, and the power, the legacy of Will Smith and how good of an actor he really is.
There's
and,
some big shoes to fill.
Robin Williams played that genie perfect.
There's no way. You can't outdo Robin Williams in that role.
I mean, I think he might be able to maybe come up behind a little bit, but I don't know.
That's the thing. I think that's the only thing that I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but there's a stand-up comedian that sounds and kind of looks just like Robin Williams.
Do you remember his name?
I don't have his name, but he sounds and he does impressions of him really, really good. And
see, I hate that because there's a guy on YouTube, I forget the channel name, but literally sounds just like Freddie Mercury from Queen. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, pitch, everything.
I mean, it's not Will Smith's fault. Hey, they probably chose him. He wanted the payday, but I mean, I think you can go in there with an open mind, but I still think you could give that movie an A+ or an A-, and the only minus is going to be the genie.
Because I mean, I
kind of think that the Dumbo remake actually looks better than the Aladdin one.
Yeah, it does. It does.
I'm excited about the Dumbo remake.
It really does. Gotta spread a few more tears over your face because of an elephant getting his mother taken away from him.
And then X-Men. X-Men comes out June. What do you guys think about that?
Dark Phoenix. Yeah. I like it. I like her as young Jean Grey, Dark Phoenix.
Did you like Apocalypse, Zach?
No,
No.
When I came out of the theater, I gave it like a B, but I've like soured on it since then. And I'm just ever since Hugh Jackman's out on Wolverine, I'm kind of out on X-Men. I know that's kind of horrible to say, but like that's it's like Robert Downey Jr. retirement. That Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, you know.
Money talks, though. I think if Disney offers Hugh Jackman a contract, I think he might do one or two more movies.
Yeah, and there was supposed to be another X-Men movie come out this year, New Mutants. It's supposed to be like a horror, like psychological type film.
Right.
Did they scrape that? I know is there a TV series called that?
I think it's still up and running. I've heard it's had like trouble after trouble and like trying to redo the script, and I think it's supposed to come out like in October of this year now.
Okay.
But I mean, honestly, with going back to Dark Phoenix, Sophie Turner, I think she's a brilliant young actress. I mean, honestly, she does very well in Game of Thrones, which I'm seriously looking forward to in April, coming out. The last season of that, which is going to be a bittersweet moment, but still extremely excited for that. But I mean, you've got several different movies from different franchises coming out that I think, oh man, there's going to be so much money this year spent solely on movies alone.
This past year broke the I don't know if it was the world, like, I think it was just the United States box office at $10 billion. And I think that hit in October of 2018. I think 2019 is going to blow it out of the water.
Oh, talking about all these damn superhero movies and these damn, science fiction movies, there's one I forgot to actually think about. That's freaking Chapter 2 of It. That comes out in September. Well, I'm saying, talking about all these, I forgot about a horror film. Chapter 2, It. The Adult Loser Club coming up. That one I'm looking forward to hugely.
I think if they can make it as good as the first one, I think it'll be a huge, huge success.
Well, let's just say this, because I've been paying attention to a lot of the the Twitter feed and the Instagram and all that good stuff. James McAvoy, or however you say his last name, playing Bill Denborough, has actually, within the first 2 or 3 weeks of filming, tore tore some muscles on the top of both of his quads or his thighs. He says Bill Skarsgård scares the hell out of him on set, and so does Bill Hader as well. And I mean, Bill Hader is usually, you know, that happy-go-lucky comedy type guy, and you know, James McAvoy, I know he's been through several, you know, because he was in Wanted, you know, he's been in the X-Men films, he's been in Split, Glass, so I know he's definitely got, you know, chops to do stunt work as well as, you know, intense scenes. But, you know, for a guy like him to have injuries on set, you know, with albeit a guy dressed up as a clown, I think that's badass to me, because I know that Jessica Chastain has wrapped most, if not all, of her filming. Bill Hader, I think, is actually coming up on a lot of his filming going out. And I think James McAvoy is 3/4 of the way done with his. But yeah, literally a lot of different things that I'm seeing come out from that movie is that Bill Skarsgård is a scary motherfucker. And I love that because, well, I mean, it's not just that, but he has so many physical attributes and abilities of, you know, the guy's 6'4", and I think he's 215, 210, so he towered over. I mean, he was literally huge. To where these adults, he's not going to tower over, but I mean, still, I've got an uncle who's 6'8", and I mean, the guy's big.
I mean, with camera angles, they can make him seem a lot bigger than what he would be. But
listen up, fellas. But no, definitely looking forward to that as well. You know, just stepping out of the box of superheroes and science fiction movies. I'm definitely looking forward to at least one horror film this year. So,
a lot of good movies coming up. I think that'll. Zach, do you have any other? Notes to say or anything else to say about the Avengers?
No, it's just I'm just glad that we have that movie in our lives, man. It's an awesome film.
Nice. All right. Well, man, if you want to touch on some bases next week, we will be doing we will bring our top 5 back, and we will be bringing all of our stuff back next week. As far as our segments go, this one ran a little longer, and I wanted to do all kinds of fantasy bookings and all kinds of other things with the Avengers. So, Zach, if you want to check us out next week and call in when we do Bad Times at the El Royale, I mean, more than welcome to. I'll keep in touch with you. We can chat next week about that if you'd like.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have to probably get it from the Red Box and check it out. I've heard, like you said, it's a lot like the Quentin Tarantino and J.J. Abrams movie. That's what I've heard most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're into that, I mean, it's definitely worth a watch. But even if you can't check it out, we can still have you on and do maybe like a top 5 or something next week.
Sweet, yeah. So let me know, and I'll see you. I'll talk to you guys next week then.
All right, man. Thank you. Appreciate for calling in.
Have a good night.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me on again, man.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
What a interesting, like, kind of a 3-way roundtable talk we always have whenever Zach calls.
Yeah, he's a intelligent, interesting guy. So I mean, he has, like, as in movies, he always has a lot to say. When we worked together, it was always a nice thing to. We joked and cut up, but it was always cool to have a one-on-one, down-to-earth conversation about, you know, whether it be music, movies, TV shows, different things like that. The guy's kind of plugged into a lot of different things. Literally, he really is. So it's always interesting to get a conversation just going with him, basically.
You know what that means?
What's that?
Water break.
Uh-oh.
I think that's going to wrap us up for this. We will get back right into our top 5 next week.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Show ran a little bit long, which is no big deal. Next week, we will be talking all things Bad Times at the El Royale.
Another Chris Hemsworth movie. Look at that. But he's not electrifying like he is in this one.
Right.
Well,
that's another thing. I can't wait to get into that movie. That'll be the first time view for you.
yes, it will.
Next week, we'll be going over our top 5 Disney animated movies.
Ooh. It's always a hard one with that because literally I think they've, the 30s, 20s that they've been around?
Yeah.
I know Pinocchio is like 41, 1940, somewhere around there. So, I mean, we're almost rounding, here in the next 20, 21 years, 22 years, we'll be rounding 100 years of Pinocchio. I think Peter Pan, this is the 80th year of Peter Pan, 1939.
Yeah.
So, yeah, 80 years.
I mean, and then Disney.
As old as Batman.
And then Disney's having such a big year this year that, hell, we might as well kick off and do a top 5 next week with all Disney movies.
Oh, yeah. Like you said earlier, Disney is literally its own competition this year. I mean, it's kind of headbanging against the wall right now.
Yeah.
Literally, I mean, don't get me wrong, every headbang gets millions, let alone possible billions, into the pockets of many. But, yeah, it's crazy on how much they are literally going to acquire this year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do their tax return.
Going back to the Avengers, though, like Zach said, man, that's one of the movies that I'm so glad that we got to cover today. Getting ready for the end game. Getting ready for Captain Marvel in 5 weeks, 4 weeks. What about you, Zach? Zach, he gave it a 10 out of 10. What about you? Going back and looking at the original Avengers from 2012, which actually came out May 4th, 2012.
I would have to say an 8.5 strong. Just with the Hawkeye character, it just I just feel like it fell short.
So you wanted to see more of him in the movie?
More of a significant role, other than I shot an arrow to Loki's face and it blew up, or y'all have got to save me now, or to me it just felt like they didn't have much heart into his role, to where with, of course, Cap, Iron Man, Thor, and Hulk, they had tons of heart, and of course Scarlett Johansson has her uses just because of what character she plays has hundreds of uses, thousands of uses. So it just felt like they didn't have much heart to him. That's really all it was. Other than that, it'd probably get a 9.5. Because I'd really don't get me wrong. I'm not taking away from anything of this movie. I love this movie. I think this is an awesome movie. I still will definitely. Honestly, I kind of rate it a little more or a little over Age of Ultron. In all honesty, just because it's kind of that nostalgic feel. You get the first look of the team, if you will. I think Civil War was a bit better, Infinity War was better. So far, the best one out of all 4 of them. We'll see about number 5 and how it does. But, I'd probably rank this as number 3 at the moment for me.
Yeah. So you gave it an 8.5. I'm going to give it a solid 8.
Okay.
I enjoy this movie. There's nothing bad to say about it other than some small tidbits, but I'm not going to...
Right.
It's nothing to dig into. But, man, we got some exciting shows coming up, man. I'm excited. This podcast has taken off way bigger than I thought it was. Yeah, we're not over here making hundreds of thousands of dollars, but
right. I mean,
we are getting multiple to almost close to a couple hundred downloads a week.
I mean, we're not friggin' Ron Burgundy for Christ's sake.
I mean, fuck.
Exactly.
I never thought we'd get a couple hundred downloads a week.
Honestly, neither did I.
I was thinking maybe 20 at best.
Right. Maybe 2 or 3 a day.
Our best episode that has ever gotten downloaded is Star Wars, and our worst is Sleepwalkers.
Which, okay, I mean, don't get me wrong. But
take a look at this. There is a difference, but for everybody out there listening, that just shows you that it would be completely 1 week and then the next week.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong,
We had that bad, supposedly a bad show, and then the next week we picked it up with Star Wars.
Well, I mean, I don't think we've had necessarily a bad show at all. I just think we've, some people at the time, because that was actually around Christmas time. People were doing things. People were out and about. People had holidays. People were wanting to spend time with their loved ones, not spend a couple hours at work or at home or in the car or listening to a podcast by some two random ass fuckers from middle of anywhere Oklahoma City'sville.
That's true, and I am still very surprised that we went from 20 to 30 downloads. I thought we were only going to get maybe 5 or 10 at best.
Right,
a week.
Yeah.
But now, man, we got we get a couple hundred a week, and I'm very, very surprised and where the show is going and where things are going to be picking up from here. As this show drops on Super Bowl Sunday,
yes, sir.
Hopefully we can get some listeners on that day. If not, I'm sure everybody will pick us up on the next day.
I was about to say, there will be some pissed off fans. If you're a Rams fan, there you go. If you're a Patriots fan, there you go. Truthfully, you've got a strong team in the Rams, but you can never count that Tom Brady bastard out.
As this is dropping Super Bowl Sunday, what's your final score?
Oh, God. 28-21.
Ooh. Pick 'em.
This is such a hard thing because, don't get me wrong, I'm kind of on the Rams side. No offense to any of you Patriots fans.
Defense wins championships.
Yes, and I mean, don't get me wrong, Aaron Donald, Aqib Talib, those are two dangerous characters out there. Aqib Talib and Tom Brady know each other pretty damn well. Being on the same team and on the AFC to get against each other for that.
I think it's going to be a good football game. I think it's going to be entertaining. No matter what happens, you can't count Tom Brady out.
No.
The Rams defense was giving up 27 points a game in the regular season to where now in the playoffs they've been giving up 18 points a game in the playoffs. They held Drew Brees on check. They held Ezekiel Elliott in check.
Yeah.
But I don't think that they can I don't think they can get pressure on Tom Brady. If they do, they win the game, obviously. But I'm going to go ahead and select the Patriots, and I don't think it's going to be that high scoring. Jared Goff being in his first Super Bowl, I think he's got butterflies right now the size of eagles.
But you've got to look at that, little halfback they've got back there, Todd Gurley.
It wouldn't surprise, but I think Belichick is smart. I think he's going to. He's going to put 8 in the box, and he's going to dare Jared Goff to throw.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, because Patriots secondary is not too shabby.
If I had to pick, I'm going to go Patriots 17-13.
17-13, wow.
I know that's low scoring in today's game of football, but I just think these defenses are going to have to step up and stop somebody.
Now, see, don't get me wrong. I did say I would like for the Rams to win, but in reality, I was going 28-21 Patriots. I feel Aaron Donald is going to get. I think he's gonna get his bones on the Tom Brady a few times. I think 2 or 3 sacks for him in this game. But I think maybe an interception or 2. But I don't see Tom Brady losing. I mean, don't get me wrong. He proved that he is He's
got that bitterness taste left from last year.
Yeah.
I don't. Losing 2 Super Bowls in 5 years for the Giants, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But losing back-to-back Super Bowls, I don't see it happening.
I mean, don't get me wrong. With 51, we seen him come back with what a 21-point deficit with the Falcons, which.
Yeah.
Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, Mohamed Sanu, just to name 3 players on that field, on one side of the ball. That's a dangerous-ass team, but I just don't think you can count the freaking Patriots out at all. And, if they do win tomorrow, I think they will be, 7 championships, so in the number 2 field of all-time championships for a franchise. So I think the only one after that would have higher would be the Steelers with 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're talking Super Bowl. Steelers have 6.
Oh, okay.
Patriots have 5.
Yeah. So, okay. So, yeah, never mind. But yeah, I mean, honestly, that'd be messed up, Tom Brady. But I mean, do you think Tom Brady should retire his old ass, or do you think
He's already came out and said, win or lose, he's coming back.
Oof.
Winning, and spending a few nights at home with Giselle might change his mind.
Now, two things. One, since you bring Giselle up, have you ever seen her cheer for him?
I haven't.
She might as well be down there with pom poms. She's a dangerous ass freaking spectator. The girl loves the game and is for her man.
I mean,
so
with that kind of money, I would.
She's
love
richer
the game.
than him.
I would love the game too.
But the other one is, one question I love to ask people, and I've already asked it a few times to some people at work, vendors and such. Name more than two Patriots wide receivers.
Right now?
Yeah.
Well, there's Julian Edelman and what's the other dude's name?
Exactly.
Kevin Hogan.
Okay, or no, not Kevin Hogan. Not Kevin Hogan. No, you're close, but no dice.
Hogan.
It's Hogan, yes, Chris Hogan.
Chris Hogan.
And then of course the third one, because I'm counting tight ends as receivers.
Yeah, I mean, they still have what's his name they traded him from the Minnesota Vikings. They still have Cordell Patterson.
Yeah.
And then Gronk.
Yeah. So okay, there's four. Never mind. You can name three more than most people. Most people are like maybe Gronk, maybe Edelman. So yeah, no. Do you think Gronk's gonna retire if they win or lose?
Truthfully, I don't give a fuck if he retires.
Okay.
I think if he retires, he needs to just stay away from the limelight, which isn't going to happen.
No, he's a party boy.
Stay away from the WWE and professional wrestling. That's all I care. I don't want to see any kind of New England Patriot anywhere close to that.
Now, I will ask your thoughts on more serious and honorable, or at least mature question. 2019 Hall of Fame class has been announced. What do you think of it? I mean,
the NFL, I don't know. I didn't see it.
Tony Gonzalez, you've got Ed Reed, you've got Champ Bailey, Pat Bolin. You got a ton of guys.
Not a fan of Ed Reed.
Okay.
Not a fan of Tony Gonzalez.
Okay.
You get in the Hall of Fame. What is the Hall of Fame now? Is it a good career? It's based off championships. I mean, I'm not taking anything from anybody who got nominated. But I think, I think it was their first or second year up for the Hall of Fame, and they had first ballot Hall of Famers. I mean, Tony Gonzalez maybe because he had any and every kind of quarterback thrown to him.
Yeah.
But as far as everybody else, I'm not taking anything away from them. But I would just like to see a little bit more accomplishments on those lists before they just call a Hall of Famer.
One thing that I will say on at least the Hall of Fame wise, a lot of the hardest position it seems is safety to get in. I mean, don't get me wrong, I know not many kickers and punters get in just because, unless you are like Adam Vinatieri and have 42 years in the league.
Right.
I think he's literally coming up on 22 or 21, but safety is one of the hardest because I'm still waiting on John Lynch, to get in there. I know he played for a couple teams, but there's several guys who played for many teams in there. But I just think that's the hardest position to get in, because I think Brian
does Ed Reed deserve it? Yeah, he's got himself 2 Super Bowls, 2 different defenses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they all deserve it, but I would still like to see a little bit more
depth in the career stats. And
right.
That.
First-time Hall of Famer.
Because there was a guy that actually just got in, and he was from. I think he retired back in the early '80s. Played from the either late '60s, early '70s on the Chiefs. I forget his name. Don't get me wrong, but it was Johnny Gonzalez or
they
Johnny.
They do put a lot in at one time too. I think they put in like maybe 9 or 10.
Yeah, I think this is either 8 or 9 for this
class.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Which I think is 2 or 3 owners.
I think maybe do 4 or 5. That way, when those 5 Hall of Famers go in, they have a little bit more limelight on them. They have a little bit more recognition on them.
On top of that, the time
a little bit more time to speak. Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean,
even though the NFL Network gives them like a 7-hour, 5-hour show.
Yeah.
So, but still. But as far as the podcast goes, those are our predictions for Sunday's big game. And don't forget, I know everybody's boycotting Halftime. Don't watch the Maroon 5. You know, everybody's boycotting Halftime for some reason. If you want something to watch, tune into the WWE Network. They have a Halftime heat going on. But for our next couple episodes, this is dropping February the 3rd, Avengers 2012.
Not 1961, not 1988, but 2012.
Next week is the Bad Times at the El Royale. And then the week after that, you know what we're touching, huh?
Oh.
Everybody loved the first episode. Everybody was raving about it. It was something new. Nobody's heard of it. February 17th, on that Sunday, we're going to be doing the Directors of Cinema episode. So just a few months ago, we did the Actors, or the Kings of Cinema. February 17th, we'll be doing the Directors of Cinema episode. And then February 24th, we'll be doing the Avengers Age of Ultron. So that's our next couple shows lined up for you. Ed, you have any last notes?
At the moment, no, sir. Pretty solid, I think. I mean, you know, our longest episode to date, literally.
Big show. That's why we didn't include the top 5. If you want to know our top 5 Marvel movies, go back to the archives and listen to the Fantastic Beasts episode. It's in the archives on Spotify, YouTube, and Podbean. Check us out on Facebook. We will talk to you next week, February the 10th, as we talk about the Bad Times at the El Royale.
Edward signing out.
And this is Johnny, guys. You guys have a great week and enjoy the big game.
Oh, yeah.